A good Moed Rabboisai. Ah! Oh. Linishmas Imi Miros Mordechai. Live from the hotel in Illinois. Hayoim Shnei Yomim Ba'omer or La'omer. Join us in doing the serious Omer. Many people have written in over the years that this is the first time in their life that they ever finished, or this is the second time, whatever it is. So it's a great idea to start as long as you didn't miss yesterday. Rabbi Isai were Chalamoid Pesach. And here's Yerachmiel and Levi Fraiman, the famous Levi Fraiman who was in Shir every day in Ramat Shemesh. And Yerachmiel was the famous Yerachmiel baking matzah Erev Pesach at Rabbi Twersky Shul in Flatbush. This one, I don't know that we need to show the whole thing, but it says, thank you very much. This is by Daniel Kahan. Thank you very much for your tremendous Sirat Nefesh and completing the 2 shiur in 1 day for us in Eretz Yisrael. It's really very much appreciated. It was also very moving how you became emotional at the end. So yes, I apologize. I don't know what the pshat is exactly. Maybe I was exhausted. It was a combination of exhaustion and just happy that it happened. We were able to do it. I started a little over a year ago with Nazar, and I remember how you became emotional then too as you were completing this year from a hotel room. So thank you, Hashem. Right before going to the airport. Made a big impact on me. I have no idea what he's talking about. Maybe we can find that video. And made a big impact on me now. Thank you for also sharing with us the last part of the daf regarding the laws of Omer, which was a tremendous kiss from Hashem. Also had a kiss from Hashem at the beginning of the daf when you mentioned the situation of Hegdish regarding Behemoth Tmeya. Kitzer, he goes on and on. He wrote a sefer called Kabbalah of Time. And against Shtikul Torah, we are not going to read it now. Rabbi Isai, the Masechta sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. The Parnas HaChodesh Nishmas Zecharya Ben Moshe Eli Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman, which be a zechus to rebellion for the continued siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Amen. Parnas HaChodesh Yosef Ben Chaya Sara for the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Parnas HaChodesh Binyomin Rosenfeld for hatzlacha in business and all my endeavours. And the art of the month anonymous for the zechus for an easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. Rabbi, you're not going to believe it. Today is Daf Nun Zayin. Sheva Shabbosos Tisperu Zayin Sheva Shabbosos Chamishim Yoim 50 days. It's Daf 57. We are actually holding 3 lines into the Daf Nun Zayin Amud Aleph on top. Omar Rava Omar Rav Chasa. Rav Chasa also reminds me of the best morer out there called Chasa, romaine lettuce. Boy Reb Ami, oy no, ein lahem, bitul mekach yesh lahem, oy ein lahem. So, we gotta go this way. The Mishnah discusses these 4 items. You have slaves, hegdish, karka, and shtaris. When you have those 4 items, any one of those 4 items, there's no oino. You cannot overcharge by 6th, undercharged by 6th. So the question is, what if a person overcharges more than a 6th? Do we do something called a bitul mekach? Bitul mekach is more like mekach tos. There was a mistake here. Yes, you didn't intend, perhaps, to create this mistake, but it's a mistake nevertheless. And maybe we can cancel the entire mekach, the entire, what do we call it, Shlomo? Transaction. The entire transaction should be canceled because it's a mekach tos. Is there a no? We know there's no no. But is there a bitul mekach? Interesting shaila. Somebody in Eretz Yisrael stayed in one of these daily simmers. It's like you rent it by the day. So the guy stayed there for 2 months. Then in the 2 months, he goes to the owner and he says, "Look, I'm here for such a long time. Can I have 2 free days?" The guy thinks about it. He says, "Okay, I'll give you 2 free days." He ended up staying 6 extra days. So the owner tells him, "I gave you 2 free days, but I didn't realize that you're going to go 6 days. I thought it's only 2 days. So what's the halacha?" So somebody wanted to bring a raya from here, from the idea of I know that if you take a certain amount extra, you take a 6 extra, so you have to give back the amount. But if you do more than a 6, like in our case over here, perhaps it's a bitul mekach. Once you go above and beyond, then the whole transaction is canceled. So perhaps the whole transaction is canceled with this guy's zimmer. So they said no. The opposite. Why is he giving him 2 free days? He's giving 2 free days because he stayed there for such a long time. So those 2 days he gets. The fact that he stayed longer, he's going to pay for those extra days. He'll pay for the extra 4 days. He said there's no connection to this sugi. Amar Rav Nachman. Chod Amar Rav Chasa. So Rav Chasa thought about it a little bit. Poshet Rebbe Ami. Oyna ein lohem. Bitul mekach yesh lohem. These 4 items, all 4. Let's see what we can do here. So just to show you, give you a little hagdama. According to Rav Chasa, there is bitul mekach on all 4 of the items: slaves, karka, shtar, and hekdesh. Okay. Not bitul mekach yesh. How much is there in a bitul mekach? So Rashi says over here, bitul mekach more than a shtos, and I believe Tosfos is the one that says that it has to be double. I mentioned it the other day with the chinuch. Okay. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yoina Omar Hagdeshos. Rabbi Yirmiyah Omar Akarkois. This is very important. In the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yoina says that there's a bitul mekach when it comes to hegdish. Only hegdish. Out of the 4 items, hegdish. And Rabbi Yirmiyah says on karka is a bitul mekach. A ma'aseh shahaya. 2 people came to the Bava Metzia. They were fighting over a grave. 2 relatives were fighting over a grave. So the Bava Metzia said, "I'll make a pshara here. Whoever dies first gets it." So they said, "No, you know what? We don't want it." Both of them didn't want it. They made a bitul mekach. They were done. It was like almost like a curse. If you want it so badly, you'll get it first. No, moichel. So says the Gemara, they both said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan one thing: either there's hegdish or either there's a bitul mekach on karka. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yoina, who says that by hegdish there's a bitul mekach, you cancel the whole transaction. What's pshat? Certainly when it comes to real estate. So Rashi explains here that there's a concept called there's no mistake when it comes to hegdish. Yeah, we're talking about a gizbar who's in charge of the hegdish. But there's a concept, there's no mistakes when it comes to Hashem. And if you're going to say that even though there's no mistakes, there's a cancellation when it comes to overcharging by hegdish. So certainly when it comes to real estate, when it's 2 human beings. But the Mando Amar who says there's a cancellation when it comes to real estate, Mando says it's only by karka, but by hegdish there's no cancellation. Domar Shmuel, like Shmuel says, hegdish shava monash echille al shava pruta mechula. If you cheat hegdish, you take something that's worth 100 and you transfer it into something that's worth 1, it works. In other words, there's no bitul mekach by hegdish, only on karka. Okay? Yeah, you with me? Tanan also. Going too slow, right? It's not 1.5 speed. 2 speed. Amud Beis is also 2 speed? Really? Wow. I don't recall who it was. Somebody just recently, a few days ago, told me. I used to listen to you in 1.5 speed, but now I said, look, what do I gain? I think it was Belsky actually. I used to listen to you in 1.5 speed. And now I thought about it. You know what? I don't gain that much. A couple of minutes, let me understand it better. It goes regular speed. Try it out. Depends how much ADD, etc. Now also, in Hoya Kodesh Balmum, Rabbi say, Givaldik halachas. We know that it's usher to do Tamura, right? I don't think we have to show the video again. We'll show it anyway, why not? Without sound. I don't like the sound. Here. So typically speaking, it's usher to transfer the Kedusha from one animal that you set aside as a carbon to a second animal that's set aside as a carbon. However, if the first animal has a mum, fellow mum, let's say its ear ripped, so you can't bring it as a carbon, so now you're supposed to take the Kedusha from that animal that has a blemish and put it into something else. What if that something else actually is worth less than the first one? 2 is worth less than 1. What do? So says over here in the Mishnah, and you redeemed it with an animal that's worth less. The first animal 1 goes out and it's just a regular animal. Behemah number 2 becomes kodesh. And you must add the difference. So now we have a machlokes. Yotzel l'chulin var Torah, says Rabbi Yochanan, b'daraisa it becomes just a regular animal. The only reason you have to add the difference, there's no way not in Hegdish, so why do you have to add the difference? You don't. B'daraisa. B'darabbanan we add the difference. There's no toast. Hashem doesn't make a mistake. There's no way no. So Chacham said, add the difference. So Rashi explains that there's actually machlokes here. Let me see if we can get to it. Oh, it says Rashi, it says the word kerkecha a few times. So the question is kerkecha at its value. Do you learn it that it has to be the exact value, or any value that you decide? It's the question: how do you learn the word kerkecha? Rish Lakish holds that has to be the exact value, and if you cannot use an animal that's worth less because it's not kerkecha, it's not the value. Rabbi Yochanan, on the other hand, says kerkecha, anything that you evaluate it as, that works. Midaraisa. Ask the Gemara, what are we talking about? If you're talking about it's exactly a 6 difference. Is Rish Lakish going to argue on our Mishnah that you have to make up the difference? It says in the Mishnah, it says Mufurish in our Mishnah, there's no ina akar kois va'avodim v'ashlosh v'hagdeishos. There's no ina on hegdish. So why would he say that midiraisa you have to make it up? There's ina. Elo bitul mekach. So we're talking about that's not exactly a 6, it's more than a 6. Well, Rabbi Yochanan so Rabbi Yochanan is going to say in that case that you don't have to make it up midiraisa. Oh, so now we can go back to Rabbi Yochanan. Let's take a look at the chart here. What does Rabbi Yochanan say? That's funny, showing the wrong thing. Oh, Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that there is a bitul mekach when it's more than a 6. You cancel 2 things. We said hegdish and certainly karka. But hegdish, he says you cancel hegdish. Rabbi Yirmi argues and says no, there's no cancellation on hegdish. Cancellation is on real estate. But according to Rabbi Yonah, there's a cancellation on Hegdish when there's more than a sixth difference. Who does he say it in the name of? In the name of, it even says on the chart, in parentheses, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So how can you tell me that Rabbi Yochanan says that you don't have to make it up? Only midrabanan. They both said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, a number of pshatim here. We're talking about that the difference between the market price and what you gave Hekdesh is more than a sixth. We're going to have to do something we don't like to do. We're going to have to change the names around. It's not Rabbi Yochanan who said that it's the Rabbanon they have to make up the difference. It's actually Rish Lakish who says the Rabbanon. Rabbi Yochanan is going to fit in with Rabbi Yochanan that Midairaisa you do have to make up the difference. But my Kamifligi, what's the machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish? B'dish Shmuel. In Shmuel, Dama Shmuel, Hegdish Shava Manish Chila Shava Pruta Mechulal. Yeah, we had it before that the Hegdish that you. Yeah, is it the same exact words? Let me just make sure. Yeah. Hegdish Shava Manish Chila Shava Pruta. If you take something that's worth Hegdish, that's worth a 100, and you redeem it, you put the kedusha into something that's worth 1, not 100. Mechulal works. Mar is the Shmuel. Mar less the Shmuel. So Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, is going to say that we don't hold of Shmuel. It doesn't work. There is a no when it comes to Hekdesh. That's one shot. By the way, Amud Beis. It's going to fly. Half of Amud Beis should take about 2.5 minutes. Well, to read it might take longer, but to understand it. Another pshat. The Kuli Almi is to the Shmuel. Everybody agrees with Shmuel that if you transfer kedusha from something that's worth 100 and you put it into something that's worth 1, it works. The question is, can you do it in the first place? Can you do it lechatchila? Umar Sovar lechatchila you can't. Umar Sovar afil lechatchila you could transfer the kedusha from 100 to 1 when it comes to Hekdesh, and it works lechatchila. Why? Because if we go back to that pasuk where it says erkecha, it means even a crazy amount from 100 to 1, it works. You just evaluate it. That's it. Now, Rashi sticks in here. Very interesting. Check it out. Where did I see it here? Rashi says, but la'achar zman. 4 lines from the bottom. Dibra maskil mar sovar afilu chatchila. Umiyu la'achar zman yishalim, says Rashi. But you should pay back the Hekdesh, that difference of 99. Even though it works, you should pay back. Another pshat. Again, so we had a problem because Rabbi Yochanan on the one hand says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that there is something called a bitul mekach. The entire transaction becomes batal when it comes to Hekdesh, when it's more than a shtus. On the other hand, he says not. So we try to say maybe it's not Rabbi Yochanan, we have to flip Rabbi Yochanan. We're not talking about more than a shtus. The question was, if it was a shtus, it says before in our Mishnah that there is no einah when it comes to Hekdesh, if it's exactly a shtus. So then we said it's more than a shtus. But more than a shtus, Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, there is a problem. So now we're going back, it's exactly a shtus. And don't flip Rabbi Yochanan because that's very difficult. But then what's the big problem? The problem is, if there's a problem of einah, you ripped off Hekdesh exactly a sixth. The Mishnah says it's not a problem. No. You didn't understand the Mishnah. What the Mishnah said is there's no einah, meaning there's no sixth. According to this Rav Chizda, there's no sixth. Even if it's a minute amount, it's Hekdesh, cancel the whole transaction. That's the pshat. There's no enough. Not that you ignore it, the fakert. When it comes to private citizen, you can rip him off up until the 6th. When it comes to hekdesh, there's no ripping off at all. Hekdesh is not in the whole hachaver. Now we're turning down the Zainam days. It's so sensitive, hekdesh, according to Rav Chisda, that even less than you have to give it back. We just turned to the Zainam Beis, sponsored by Kidnovations LLC, in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, and as a zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga. I'm sitting here with one person only, Reb Shlomo, who is Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga's boss, and treats him like a son, and that's why this is the 3rd year in a row he already has a chazaka that he is our guest for Pesach with his own mishpacha. Shlomo Lazar, all the way from Los Angeles. Good times there, no? Yeah. It's kedai to come. Yeah. Official mitzvah motivators in honor of the Limans for sponsoring Sfarim for the daily Ner Talmud learning. By the Gewirtzman brothers for the Yartzeits of our grandfathers, Hachaver, Moshe Ben Yerachmiel Shalom, and Rav Eliezer Moshe Ben Reb Shema Zatzal. Meisvei. Ribis v'inala hadyot. There's an isser to take interest from a private citizen, and there's an isser to take more than 1/6 of the market value lahadyot, private people. Ve'ein ribis v'inala hekdesh. There's no ribis and einah to hekdesh. Oh, so it's the kasha. We just had, according to Rav Chisda, not only is there einah when it comes to hekdesh, but even a very small amount there's einah to hekdesh. And it says mefurish in the brisa, ein ribis v'einah hekdesh. There is no einah. Says the Gemara, we just had that question on the Mishnah, and we explained the Mishnah. There is no, what does it mean there's no einah? Not that you don't have to give it back. There is no concept of a 6th. It's even 100th. You have to give back to the Beis Hamikdash. That halacha, the din of einah, doesn't apply to hekdesh. Yachi, if so, it says in the Seifa, this is the difference between a private citizen and hekdesh. Fakert, you're telling me that a private citizen gets to cheat up to 1/6, and by hekdesh you can't. So what's more chamer? Hekdesh is more chamer. Hekdesh is more severe. You cannot cheat it at all. So what are you telling me? This is one of the ideas. This is a concept of where a private citizen is more severe than hekdesh. The exact opposite. Hekdesh is more severe. You can't rip him off at all. Says Gemara, Aribis. What I meant to say is that by a private citizen you cannot take any interest, but by hekdesh you could. So I have something that hekdesh, that a private citizen is more severe than hekdesh. Again, when it comes to ribis, when it comes to no, you're right. Hekdesh is more severe. Ask the Gemara if that's the case. No. Say in the Bryce, so look, I have something that's more severe by a private citizen. You cannot take any interest at all. By hekdesh you could. But I have something that's more severe by hekdesh, that there's every small amount you have to return to hekdesh, but by a private citizen it's only 1/6. Why don't you tell me both sides? Says Gemara, I can't tell you both sides. Why? There's only one case in the world that a private citizen is more severe than hekdesh, and that is when it comes to interest. When it comes to interest, you cannot take from any private people interest, but you could take from hekdesh, and we can explain what that means too. You're going to tell me, and here's a case where hekdesh is more severe than private, that even a small amount is einah. Wait a minute, there's a lot more things that hekdesh is more severe than a private citizen. Many, many things, not just this one. So maybe you can't say it like that. Now, we're just going to do this small sugi over here, which is actually a simple one as well, and then we're going to get freebies. What does it mean that you're allowed to take interest from Hegdish, from the Beis Hamikdash. Let's say that the guy in charge of the Hegdish, he lent 100 for a return of 120, literal interest. Once the Gizbar, the guy in charge, lends the money, he took cash from the Beis Hamikdash and he gave it to a private citizen. That's Mila. It's also to do so. And by him doing so, he took something out of the Beis Hamikdash, and now it became private money. He owes the Beis Hamikdash 100 plus 25%, right? Because when you take from Hegdish, you have to bring a carbon, and you have to add 25%. But it just became his money, the Gizbar's money. So then it's the Gizbar taking interest. A private citizen can't take interest. What happened was, he's a dealer of fine flour, and he said, okay, I'm going to give the Beis Hamikdash, you give me money in advance, and I'm going to provide the Beis Hamikdash for every seller, I'm going to give 4 bags. I think we actually have. Oh, you know what I did? I missed these charts. Yosef, if you're listening, this chart right over here, which I'm showing, we gotta put it in. Ask Yoshi where to put it in, please. I forgot to show it because I threw in my chart and I'm mixing it up. Rabbi Yochanan says it's a chulin says dam the raisa. Rabbi says raisa, and the problem is Rabbi Yochanan. So we do a switcheroo. Oh, this would explain the sugi beautifully. So when I say that Rabbi Yochanan, that's not always good to do, but in this we're going to switch Rabbi Yochanan to Shlokish. Here, Rabbi Yochanan lines up with Rabbi Yochanan. If Chizah says, yes, you know the karka, even less than a sixth. Shlokish says, yes, the chun the reis of zechus las domim with the brayim. Oh. This is the thing we just learned. The Reisha, Ribbis Benol, the Edim, and Ribbis Benol, the English. Mamish forgot all these charts. Crazy. Oh, so how do you explain the Seifa, Zechayim, Edim, and English? And this is where we're holding. So, I'm going to give the Beis Hamikdash 4 sacks of flour, fine flour, for 1 selah. And then the price went up to 3 sacks for a selah. You could only get 3 sacks of flour for 1 selah. Means the price went up. It's more expensive. You get less for your money. That means it's more expensive. So the halacha is, maybe I would think, not maybe, the halacha is that Hegdish, the Beis Hamikdash, gets the 4 sacks, gets the extra sack of flour, and that for a private citizen that would be also that's ribbis. Like we said. The price. If he accepted upon himself to give 4 and it went up to 3, like this, so there's a little bit of a ribbis problem. But because it's hegdish, misapik marba, he has to give 4. Mishalish from the marba. Oh, now here's the opposite. I'll give you for expensive, and it went down in price from the marba. Misapik marba. The kitzer shiyad hegdish al yoyna. Beis Hamikdash always wins. So that's one shot. How do you avoid ribbis when it comes to hegdish? Where do you have a case where hegdish doesn't care about ribbis? When somebody tries to provide flour to the Beis Hamikdash, you need flour for the menachas, for the lechem aponim. You need flour in the Beis Hamikdash. So I'm providing you for less, and then the price went up. You have to give the cheaper price. That's ribbis typically, and then the Beis Hamikdash doesn't work. Another pshat. Givaldik. It goes like this. Let's say the Beis Hamikdash buys a cow. They take cash out of the shayfer, whatever they from the lishka. They take cash, and they purchase a cow. What happens? There's gedusha in the money, and when they give that money to the owner of the cow, so the cow becomes kadosh through the money, the transfer. The kedusha of the money goes into the cow. The guy that's selling the cow gets cash that's clean, not kadosh, it's chulin, and the cow becomes kadosh through the money. So think about it. If based on Mikdash is building, they're doing renovation, they're doing an extension, they buy lumber, they pay cash for the lumber, they give the cash to the lumber yard, the cash is kadosh. What happens to the lumber? Becomes kadosh. Comes the carpenter and starts working with the lumber, and he takes a saw and cuts it, he ruins a little bit, he's over on me'ilah. He just took something from the Beis HaMikdash and made it worth less. So there's a big problem. So what do? The only way you can do renovations in the Beis HaMikdash or building the Beis HaMikdash is by purchasing lumber and stones without paying for it. Because once you pay for it, the lumber becomes kaddish. So you want to work on the lumber before it has any kedusha. So you tell the lumber yard, give me the stuff on credit. We'll pay you later. We're the Beis HaMikdash, you can trust us. So we're talking about the stones that have no kedusha. Comes the gizber of the Beis HaMikdash and lends out these stones. He says, I'll give you 3 stones on condition you pay me back 4. In that case, there's no interest, there's no ribbis in the Beis HaMikdash. When you build for the Beis HaMikdash, you make sure that all the material doesn't have any kedusha. It's chayil. Only afterwards you insert the kedusha into it. And here comes the easy sugya. How do you know that there's no double payment when you steal karka, vodim, hegdish, shtaris? The Torah Rabbonot al kol dvar pesha. So here's the pasuk. First, 2 psukim beforehand, pasuk vav, it says imi motzi hagano yishalem shnoim, and then it says al kol dvar pesha al shor al chamor al se al salmo al kol avedo. So we go like this. Al kol dvar pesha al kol. Anytime you steal any item in the world, in red, and look at the bottom, it says al kol avedo, on anything that's lost, this person swore falsely. But in the middle in purple, it says al shor al chamor al se al salmo. Those are very, very unique items. The specific items. So we have a generalization, specification, generalization. Al kol dvar pesha is a klal, it's a generalization. Al shor is very specific, only if he swore on an ox or on a donkey. We're going to have this sugya 3 times in a row, so we can go really, really quick, and it's very, very simple. Al kol dvar pesha klal, that's a generalization. Al shor al chamor al sel salmo prat. Al kol avida sheyom chozer v'kol. So we have a klal, prat, uklal. Iyatadon elkeina prat. Why does the Torah give a generalization, specification, generalization? To say that the generalization has to be similar to the specification. Now what? Ma prat mefurish davar metalta v'gufay mamayin. Just like the prat it's an ox, it's a donkey. You could carry it, you could bring it from place to place, but it has an inherent value. They say it as a joke. They say about certain rebbes. They come to different cities. The davar metaltal, you bring them around from it, but the gufay mammon, they're worth a lot of money. People see them. If the rebbe sleeps in your house, you get $100,000 for the chasidus. In the certain chasidus, it's $500,000. So it's davar metaltal. You take it from here to there. The gufay mammon. The Zechurah came to Chicago years ago. I think it was 12 years ago. First, they have committees that come 3 months in advance. He's going to stay over here, and if he stays by you, you're going to have to pay X amount of money. And they had bleachers coming in. They had a portable mikvah because he stayed by my uncle, the owner, the guy that runs the person that runs the hotel here, David Friedman. So he stayed in his house. They built a mikvah in the garage. They have this portable thing. They put it up in one day, fill it up with water, make sure don't ask. Anyway, maybe it was ice. Who knows what they used there? For real quick. But it's a very, very official. They come, these chassidim. Who's going to sing what? Where's going to be who? Which chazan? 3 days. They have a whole. It goes really. They raise a lot of money. Oh, so Mela karka is not something that moves. It's not movable. Poof. So there's no kefal in karka. Sheina metalim. Yosu avadim and slaves shukshul karkais. There's a hekesh that compares slaves to karka. So there's nothing. By the way, I saw actually the Ahron discuss what about employees. Is there a non-employees? Let's say you rip a guy off. The minimum wage today, how much is the minimum wage in California? $20 in California. Let's say you give him $10 now. Find the guy that doesn't know what the minimum wage. Are you over on it? No. So they say no. He's similar to Nevet. He's working for you. He's like a slave, and a slave is knowing on slaves. That doesn't mean he's a slave. It means in halachas of slaves, he's like a slave. And also we have to exclude documents, even though you can move a star, but it doesn't have any inherent value. We said it's worthless. It's not even worth a pruta. Hegdeshos. And what about Hegdesh? It only works. I don't have the pasuk Re'eyu v'loi Hegdesh. Okay. V'loi tashlum arba v'chamisha. And why not 4 or 5? My time out. Now, once you took out kefal, so what's left? If you're going to pay, let's say you steal an ox from Hegdish and you shecht it, but you don't pay kefal. You want him to pay 4 and 5. There is no 4 and 5. Once you take out the kefal, now you're left with 3. And there's no 3 in the Torah. There's a beautiful R Chaim in Parshas Mishpatim. He says, you know why a shomer doesn't pay? Why doesn't the shomer pay when it comes to Hegdish? He's not nishba. He does it shomer chinam, shomer socher. He says there's the famous halacha we just learned it like a few weeks ago. Ba'al avima, that if the owner is doing something for you while he asks you to watch it, while he even lends it to you as a shayl, you're not chayav for anything. Because Baruch Hu is imoy. Because Baruch Hu is always with us. He's the owner. So if you're watching something for Hegdish, there's Baal of imoy at all times. He was doing you a favor. He gave you oxygen as you took upon yourself to watch it. So that's Baal of imoy, and therefore you potter. That's what the Or Chaim says. Oh, and then you could say the famous joke from Reb Uri Zar, Zechat Tzadik Levrach Mamish, who's a huge inspiration to me. Guy that he's on top of the world. He had the nicest house. I'll say this again. He told me he had the nicest house in Eretz Yisrael on the beach. That's what he said. I've never seen it, but he told me. Gorgeous mansion on the beach. Came Baal Tshuva, and when I went to visit him, he lived in a place that was so small. I've never seen in my life an apartment so small. I'm talking about there's no sink in the bathroom. There's no room in the bathroom for the sink. He had a tiny kitchen, and he slept in the kitchen. It was a machzan. He gave his kid the apartment, and he slept in the machzan with his wife. Says Rabbi Rizar, I want to say it was maybe 100 square feet. Something crazy. It's like 10 feet by 10 by 10. Something crazy. I'm serious. So says Rabbi Rizar that there was it's one of his famous jokes that there was a cop that hated from people, and he was trying to catch these 2 guys on a motorcycle, and he wanted to give them a ticket. So he started following them, and the guys aren't doing anything. They're putting on their blinkers, they're stopping at the red lights, they're making a full stop at the stop sign. He's going crazy. So he pulls them over. He says, I've been following you for a very long time, and you guys didn't do any infraction, nothing. What's going on here? So he says, because Hashem is with us. He says, Hashem is with you. So there's 3 on a motorcycle. That's a ticket. And he wrote them a ticket for having 3. Okay, says the Gemara. It's one of his jokes. He was a funny person. Zog the Gemara, how do we know? So we're going to do the same thing all over again. Mamish easy. A person gives to his friend klal. It means he gives him anything to watch. Oh, we're very specific. Only cash or vessels. Prat. That's the specification. And it was stolen. Anything was stolen. So we have a generalization. So it has to be similar to the specification to the prat. Where are we holding? Wow. Geschmack. 40 minutes. Short year today. So this comes to exclude real estate that you can't carry. Also, and slaves are similar to karka. Even though you could carry a star, they're not inherently valuable. Now we do it all over again. How do you know that a person who's paid to watch something doesn't get paid, doesn't swear, doesn't pay when it comes to hegdish and all these things? A person will give to his friend to watch. That's a klal. That's a generalization. Doesn't say what. Then it says very specific. A donkey, an ox, a sheep, prat. That's the specification. That's any type of animal to watch. That's a generalization. Do I have to explain this even though we said it twice? Okay. Just like the specification is something that is movable and it's inherent money, that comes to exclude real estate and slaves that are similar to real estate and documents, even though it says on it $10 million, but the actual document itself is worthless. Has to be your friend and not that of Hegdish. Rabbi Sai, Agut Moed, have a wonderful day.